Well, hey there, it's Sandy with Quilted Treasures and more. I just dumped over my water. Pay no attention to the hand on the right. Oh my goodness. I had a small cup of water here that I need for right now for what I'm doing tonight. Oh, well, you know, at least it did not go in my lap this time. I was on live one night and I dumped my regular cup of water, my jar. I dumped it over. It ran across my table and right into my lap. There's nothing to do but keep going. The show must go on kind of thing. Well, those paper towels are of no use now. Okay, so we're just going to set them off to the side. Get me a couple of new paper towels. Have to set my mouse. We'll just set my mouse right there for the moment. He'll blend in with the background. Well, hey, I guess it's take two on this one now that I've, spilt water everywhere. But that's okay. We'll survive. I'm gonna add a little bit out of here back into there. When I set it over there, I told myself that's probably not a good idea. Yeah, it wasn't. I hit it with the mouse. So anyway, hi, how are y'all? I hope you're having a great day. Speaking of day, I just got to know, does it feel like we've been like going through 2 days in one day to any of y'all? Or am I the only one? Oh my goodness. I don't know. I guess the day that time changes and we fall back, I always feel like, um, I don't know, I always feel like it takes forever to get to the end of that day. It's like, what do you mean it's only 4 o'clock? What do you mean it's only 5 o'clock? I was ready to go to bed 2 hours ago. So, am I the only one who feels that way on a time change day, especially this time of year? Okay, and I also need to check one thing before I get started because I just realized, nope. Okay, good. Good, good, good. I forgot to check one of my settings before I went. Hi, Miss Terry. How are you? I did remember my glasses. They're laying here on the thing, but I did remember them. Thank you. Terry sent me a message. She's like, don't forget your glasses. No, ma'am, I did not forget my glasses. I brought them with me. All right, so what's going on around the crafty table? I'm going to get out of this view and go to my other view here. Set my mouse off to the side. Maybe this time I won't spill water all over it. Good grief. What's been going on around the crafting table? Well, we've had some door hangers going on. We've had some ornaments going on. Speaking of which, if you have ornament parties or ornament swaps, I have the ornaments. Check out these ornaments. I stuck them behind me, which was probably not a good idea. Check out the ornaments. Some of you may be thinking, well, some of those look like door hangers. They do, they're just shrunk down. And these are about 6 inches, so they're about the size of your hand. So if you like to do ornament swaps, if you've got a group that does ornament swaps, that's one of my favorites right there. And then, of course, I'm always a big fan of the Christmas tree cakes. I got something else I've been working on this afternoon, and I'm going to show y'all that in a little while. I was so proud of myself for something new to add to the inventory, so I'm going to share that. If you're in the VIP group, you have kind of already seen it, but I will share with everyone else here in just a little while. So door hangers, t-shirts, ornaments, paint party. It's been a full, and time change. It's been a full weekend. So, and then I was playing around with some new stuff a while ago. So if I seem like I am a little more on a hyped up mode than normal, it's just because I have been doing lots of different things and I just have all that energy from being involved in a lot of different things going on, and so excited about successes. So, when you have something that you try, it's brand new, and you kind of sort of are on edge at first because you're like, I don't know if this is going to work, and then you pull it off, and so anyway, all that pin up energy right now as I'm hitting into the into the live. You just got home from the Jingle and Mingle. Oh, and oh, I bet you did have a great time. I saw a few pictures here and there. I missed Tamara going live though. I hated that. I was in the middle of doing some other things and I couldn't stop and watch it, and I haven't gone back to check it out. But I'm so glad you had a good time. Was it cool weather? I think y'all did some Christmas lights or a Christmas walkthrough tour or something. I hope it was kind of chilly for that because I like chilly weather whenever we're doing walkthroughs and things like that. So on the door hanger tonight, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to work on the windows, and we're going to give them kind of a stained glass look or a watercolor look. And then I'm going to add in something called Snowtex. And it comes in a little jar just like this. And it's pretty fun to play with. I have used it on several different things. I used it on a winter door hanger last year with a cardinal. I've used it on beach stuff. And so it comes in handy. Rain. Yes, I'm not reading that wrong. You had rain and cold. Oh, I hate it rained. I mean, at least y'all were inside for the Jingle Mingle, and it didn't matter, but I hate it rained for the outside stuff. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. We had some rain here yesterday, so that was much needed though. So it was nice. All right, to do our stained glass windows, I am going to do a technique that's kind of what they call a watercolor technique. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some water on my window, and I'll have to come back and do this 3 or 4 times. So I'm just going to lay that brush right there. Now I'm going to get just a little bit of paint. Ooh, got a major clump of paint there. I'm going to use 3 colors. I'm going to use a little bit of red and a little bit of green and a little bit of gold. So we're going to go with those 3 colors. Sometimes when you're doing the watercolor, 4 is a good way to go, but I'm gonna do 3 and see how it turns out. If it doesn't look too great, then we're gonna add a 4th. It wasn't bad. Oh, good. Well, it wasn't a torrential downpour then. That's a good thing. I don't mind a little rain here and there, but when it comes to torrential downpours, I'm just not a big fan. All right, so what I'm going to do to try to create this watercolor look, I am going to add some water to the paint and water it down. So I've got a couple of drops of each paint, and what I'm doing is I'm just adding about the same amount of water to each little square. So I've added paint and I've added water. Now I'm just going to kind of mix them together, and it's going to be pretty slushy, pretty runny. I'm gonna go ahead and get a baby wipe out so that way I can wipe off my handles as I mix this up. So we're just going to kind of water these down a little, make them a little soupy, which I know sounds weird to be doing with paints, but that's what we're going for. All right, so I've got all 3 of my colors that I'm going to be using mixed up here. I'm just going to tuck that in there for a minute because I may need it again. All right, and again, I'm just going to put a little water on. There's a little more than I wanted. Just put a little water on my window here. Again, I'm going to set that off to the side. Now I'm going to get that brush wet. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of dab in a few places. And you may see it start to kind of run a little bit. Now don't panic if it goes off into the white outside of the window. It's okay. Baby wipes fix many things. That and repainting sometimes. So it's all good. It's all good, I promise. All right, so I'm going to try to carefully pick this up so you can see. See how kind of runny and soupy that is? Okay. This is what we're going for. Now I'm going to do some green. And I'm just going to touch in and just, I'm not going to cover everything because I want to leave some room for the gold. And that may have been just a little too, still a little too thick. So I'm just going to add a little more water to that. And then I'm going to get some yellow or gold. We're just going to add a little bit into that. In the areas where I don't have yellow or green. And you can see it kind of blend together in a few places. Now, I'm going to do something that some of y'all are going to cringe at. Just hang on, I promise. Never done that technique before. It kind of goes against everything that you, oh, did you see Charlie? Yes, he's pacing back and forth tonight. He's having one of his nights. All right, so I've got my paper towel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it on top and pull it back up. Okay, so we're going to lay it on top and then we're going to pull it back up. And if you still feel like there's too much water, you can do it again. Now, I'm not going to try that again. How in the world did I get red paint all over my finger? I did splatter some green though, so we're going to get that up with a baby wipe. So I'm going to hold it up and let you see how it kind of smeared it a little bit and run it together. And like I said, you can do it again if you want to. So I would lay it down, pat it a little bit, and then bring it back up. And it would lighten it up just a little bit more and take off a little bit more of the water. And this is actually called watercolor technique. And so I'm going to leave that one be. And you can kind of see some of the white showing through it. And so that kind of gives you that light look as if you were looking at a stained glass window and it was coming in. I could always come back and add a little more of certain colors and do it again, but I'm going to leave that one just the way it is. So now I'm going to put some water on this window. And again, I think I got just a little bit. Undoubtedly, that brush is really liking the water tonight. So I'm going to pick up just a little bit of that. It does turn out pretty neat, I have to say. And so this time I'm going to add the red in a different area. So I'm just going to dab it a little bit. And if at any point in time you're like, I feel like it's too thick, then you just need to come back with a little more water and thin it out a little bit. So this time I'm going to go with the yellow. And then I'm going to come back and fill in between with the green. So this one will have a little more green. Actually, I may get a little more red and do a little more red down here. Because that one turned out just a fuzz different. And I'm actually losing my red here with the gold. Ah. My gold may have just a little too much water in there. A lot of this is just kind of, you have to feel it as you go. So sometimes you look at it and you think, oh my gosh, I have totally messed this up. No, you haven't messed it up. All right, let's add a little more gold. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to add a little more green in this bottom corner. And then I'm going to get a new little square, lay it down, kind of pat, and bring it up. And then get my baby wipe and kind of do a cleanup here on the edge while it's still damp. A little bit of cleanup there. And so now that window is totally different. You like that, Terry? It's different. And it's funny because if you're used to everything looking a certain way and being a certain way and staying all in the lines and everything's kind of perfectly proportioned, then this will drive you nuts. Because you're just kind of putting it out there. Okay. Start with wetting my paint or putting water down. The paint is already dry, so I'm not wetting the paint again. I'm just putting down some water. And then I'm going to come back with my brush. And this time I'm going to start with green. So I'm going to do some green at the top. Then I'm going to add some green kind of here in the middle and then down on the bottom. Next, I'm going to do red. So I'm going to bring red down this side. Do a little bit of a curve on the red there. If I had done 4 colors, then they would have been broke up just a little bit more. Okay, so now I've got enough good space left on this one. I'm going to use this one again. Now I'm going to be careful because this one didn't dry as quickly as this one did. So I'm just going to real quick pat and then pull it up. And we're going to leave that one just like that. Now, I did actually remember to hook up my little dryer. So I'm going to dry this real quick. And then next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with some Snow Tech. And since this is a Christmas church, I kind of stayed with the red and green and gold. But if I was doing a springtime church, I might do more of like red and yellow and uh, pink or something of that nature. All right. I've got a good bit of the water off. It still has a little bit, but I'm just going to stay away from that right now. I'm going to set that water off to the side. So that way we're kind of free and clear from any more boo-boos. Now to play with the snow ticks. Now, this is pretty fun stuff. I like this stuff. Some people use like popsicle sticks or craft sticks with it. Some people like to use a paintbrush. They like to get a paintbrush and spread it around. I actually have tried craft sticks. I've tried toothpicks. I'll be real honest with you. My favorite way is using my pinky finger. And this one is this bottle is almost gone. And I'm wondering if it might be just a fuzz. Too old, but we're going to find out here. So I'm not really going to, again, this is one of those things where it kind of, you might think, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could do this because there's really no rhyme or reason to this. So if you think about when snow falls, it's not going to fall and hit exactly the same way every time. So you may have a little bit up at the top and you may have it catch in a different location somewhere else. And what I do is I usually start out just kind of patting a little bit, and then I'll come back and I may build on it. So now I want to put some on the tree limbs. I may have to get a baby wipe because I'm trying to get some from the very bottom that's still got a little bit of moisture left to it. This bottle may actually be on the verge of drying out. This bottle's been used quite a bit. And so, yes, if the snow tech has not dried, then you can get it off with a baby wipe. So if you look at it and think, I really don't like the way that looks, or if you want to define an area around it, so like I just come in between the branch there. I may have to get my other bottle, even though that seems like it's still, I mean, it's still good and mushy, but it's just not wanting to do what I'm wanting it to do right now. And again, that's why I keep baby wipes handy. And a lot of times I like to come through and I'll put it around the end of a brush so that way it's I can pinpoint what I'm doing with the baby wipe. What looks so good, Terry? The stained glass windows or the hot mess I'm making with the snow text? And snow text, the thing about it is it takes about you wanna leave it sit for about 24 hours, and that way, it'll have time to really dry well before you add any kind of sealer over it. The hot mess. Yes, I got it on the tree limb itself. I didn't want it on the tree limb, I wanted it on top of the tree limb. But the one thing I am getting to do is I'm getting to kinda drag it to where I want it to be, which is just sitting on top of this tree limb right there. And it'll clump up some, so, you know, not gonna be perfectly situated and leveled out on everything it lands on. So that's the nice thing about snow techs is it's, you get that bit of forgiveness there. So that's pretty fun. Try using the opposite end. I never have had good luck with using the brush end of the brush for whatever reason. I don't know why. I just never could get snow techs to work with the brush end. And so I always prefer just to use my finger. And then I always go back and just fix where I get too much or I feel like, I don't really like the way that looks. Also, with the baby wipe, you can kind of pat it, compact it a little bit. So I'm just playing around with it a little bit. I want to put, so that way I'm not just stuck on the tree the whole time. I'll jump around a little bit and show you how you could add it to like part of the roof. Show where it's blown on part of the roof. And you can also add it like right on the edge of this triangle here. So it looks like part of the roof, it's stuck on one side of the roof where the wind has blown it. Now, this is why I like to start with a thin layer and add to the top of it. Because if you noticed, as I'm trying to get it to kind of situate, the clump that I put on there is actually trying to come off. So that's usually why I start with just a thin layer first, and then I come back and I add on top of it. And so it's hard with the brush for you too, Terry. Yeah, I have never had good luck with putting snow techs on with a brush. Now, probably my next method would be a popsicle stick or a craft stick. And the reason being is because you can kind of like I was doing with the brush, the handle end from the not the brush end, the handle end of the paintbrush. You can kind of, scooch it around a little bit. So I kind of like that. All right, I'm going to open up the new one just to see what the difference is, because I have a new bottle here. And it may, yeah, it looks just a little bit. That one may actually be getting to the point where it's a fuzz old. I don't have much left in that one. And so let's see how this one does. I'll start here with just the trees. I'm just going to add a little to the edges. And then I can always add a few spots later. If you notice, sometimes you walk out and if it's been snowing, you'll see the snow just kind of laying on top of everything. But if it's been, you know, a little bit on the stormy side, so it was a really good snow, in other words, then you'll see it blown on one side or the other. But see, now I can come back and I can add, maybe a little bit here and a little bit here. And see, once I get a little bit started, then as it dries, I can come back and add a little more to it and build up from there. And then you can also, I like to do that too, sometimes on certain things. You kind of dab out beside it and it just kind of gives almost that speckled look to it. Yeah, my other jar is getting a little bit on the crusty side. It's losing more of its flexibility. So I'll finish out with using the new bottle. And I just go back in and just add a little here and a little there. I don't try to build up a whole lot just because I don't want I don't want to risk it flaking off later on. Which I seal coat everything, and so it helps to lock it in and keep it in place. But there's always that risk where if you do just a little too much, then you'll come back and find out, oh, well, might not have added, should have added quite as much as I did. Now I want to add some to my wreath here, but I actually just realized I didn't ever go back and put a second coat on my wreath. So I'm going to need to do that before I add any snow text to it. Now, as far as the roof goes, a lot of times when the snow snow starts, you'll see it build on the roof, but as it starts to kind of melt away, it kind of collects toward the eave or the bottom of the roof. So we're just going to kind of put some here, maybe have some that hangs over a little. And again, I've got a little built up there, but I've just kind of patted a little bit because what I want to do is just kind of build up, start a first layer, and then come back and build up from there. And I may put just a couple of places here on the roof where it may be in the process of melting further down the roof. I'm just going to clean that up right there. Keep it on the roof line. Now you're going to feel like it really snowed by the time you get through playing with it because as you go, it starts to kind of crumble and it'll get uh, really hard on your finger and start drying out, and then you've got to wipe it off and kind of start over because just to keep going, you end up almost getting more clumps on your finger than you do on your door hanger or what you're working on. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just kind of looking around. I haven't put any snow on this tree yet, and I really do want to put some on the words. Um, I like adding snow tech to the words too. Now the nice thing about that is here I have a white background, so when I add the snow, it won't really matter how much or how crazy it gets and how little it needs to be compacted as far as following lines because it's white. It's already snow. So I kind of like having the words on the white because it means that you get a little forgiveness there. So what I'll do for like the words is I'll come up at the top of like the M, for instance, and I'll just add some snow to the top of the M. So you think, oh wow, snow fell on the letters. And I may add a little bit to the E. And with Snowtex, I tend to play with Snowtex for a little while. So Snowtex is usually not a quick thing. I wanted to show you working with it and stuff, but I'll I'll keep playing with it even after I finish up here tonight. Ah, I grabbed the wrong finger to wipe that off with. So all I can say is when you're dealing with Snowtex, keep lots of baby wipes around. Make sure you've got your baby wipes handy. So I'm just kind of adding it here and there on the tops of some of the letters where they just kind of rise up. And I feel like there's a little bit of space there where, hey, if the snow were going to fall and collect, it might fall and collect right there on that letter. I'll probably hit the other part of the M. Let's get some on the C. On the C, I may do it more in the little crook here. Maybe it fell off the top and fell in the curve. Now you may also notice that I haven't outlined much of anything yet. And I waited to do that. Sometimes I'll do snow text after I've outlined, and then sometimes I'll do outline after snow text because I won't do a solid outline. I'll do what I call a broken outline. Don't know if that's actually a term or a phrase. Love it on the words. Yes, I did that on the winter cardinal last year, the welcome winter cardinal, and I liked how it turned out. And so if I can add some snow to the letters and the words, then I think it always makes it look pretty cool. So I just kind of smear it off my finger and then I just kind of push it around, get it where I want it. Sometimes I wipe up the excess with my other finger if I have a clean finger handy. And then sometimes I do with the baby wipe. It just depends. I don't know. Snow text is just kind of cool. To me, it's kind of like probably the only time I'll ever do anything close to like sculpting. I know that's a far stretch. You're thinking, Sandy, snow text looks nothing like sculpting. Well, yes and no. No, it's not sculpting. But yes, it is kind of like sculpting because you're shaping it and you're creating the look that you're looking for, so or the look that you have in your head. So this is not the fastest technique in the world, but it does create an interesting dimension to your door hanger or to your piece, whatever it is that you're working on. And it is messy, especially if you do it the way I do it. I guess for me, this is probably the closest to getting to finger paint. It's nice to paint. Nice to paint it too like sand. Painting the snow techs? You know, I've never painted snow techs. I never even really thought about painting snow techs. And I've not done anything with sand. All right, Terry, I'm gonna make you share after it dries. Yeah, snow techs is wonderful, but you've got to let it sit for that 24 to 48-hour period, depending upon the time of the year and the weather outside. The crab picture, I did not use sand. The crab picture, I used snow techs on the waves and the foam part at the where it met the beach, but I did not put sand on that. I put glass and I put resin. I only painted it a sand color, but I didn't put any sand in that. Where would you what kind of sand do you put? I mean, it's not like you just walk out in the backyard and grab sand. Or at least I wouldn't want to do that, but live somewhere where it's a little different. Might not be a bad thing, but you know. So what I'm doing now is I'm going back to some of the areas that I've already put the snow text, and I'm just adding the what I call the pile up layer. So some places I'll leave kind of flat, and then other places I'll pile it up so that way it gives it a little more of that 3D look. And sometimes if I don't pile it, I'll just come back and tap, and then that way it at least gets a little more of that texture look to it. Now, let's see if me and the tree can get along this time because we weren't getting along so well a while ago. Let's see if I can get this tree taken care of. So I'm just pushing it around with my other finger and wiping off some of that extra. And sometimes I'll use the baby wipe to help kind of compact it a little bit, just to make sure it stays in place until it kind of dries real well. I could leave all these loose pieces on there. It would make it look like there's just snow flying around in the air. The only thing is they wouldn't stay without them being really attached. They're not going to stay. Once I start seal coating it, it'll end up getting brushed off. So that's the only bad thing. All right, so for anyone watching on YouTube, periodically you'll get people commenting that are not really part of your group or anything. And so I just try to take care of things as they happen. Sometimes it's worth mentioning and sometimes it's not. So if you see comments pop up and then they disappear and the comments really don't seem like they're very productive to what's going on, I just went ahead and pretty much took care of the comment or comments. And I stream on multiple things at one time. So um, you may be watching the replay on one of the other avenues thinking, I didn't see anything. That's good. Sometimes I've had them pop up in replays. So, well, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. Now, beyond doing the snow text and getting it on the trees and all, I'm also going to do a little bit of splatter. And so I'm going to show you real quick how I do snowfall, which would be splatter. So I'm going to put the snow text up for a few minutes because I know I've been playing with it for a little bit. You can also check out the stained glass windows because they are dry now. So I'll hold it up and you can look at them. And if I tilt it a little sideways, you can kind of see where the snow is built up in some places. All right, so, oh, good, good, good. I was like, you know what? I didn't double check to make sure I have my toothbrush. And I know some of you are like, oh, okay. Are you going to brush your teeth on your live? No, I'm not going to brush my teeth on my live. I'm going to add a little bit of white and I'm going to find not that brush. That was my brush to get in tight spaces. This is the brush I used for the water and I moved the water over there. All right, so I'm going to put a little bit of water. Tonight's just been a add water to paint night. So I'm going to add a little bit of water and stir it up so it's just, again, a little soupy. I'll set this off to this side, clean up the brush, lay it off to the side. I think I'm going to dip my dip my toothbrush in just a little bit of water. So I'm just going to stick it down in my little cup here and get just a little bit on the end. Kind of tap it off a little because I don't want to like shower it, but then I'm just going to flick it and get just a little bit on there. Now, if I wanted a little bigger dot, I could hold it closer, or I could add more paint to the toothbrush. Now, I'm not doing a major snowfall on this one. I'll hold it up and show you how small the little flakes are. I've also used a brush and used what they call the tapping technique. And with the tapping technique, it creates a little bit bigger snowflakes, in my opinion. You get smaller snowflakes. And I've actually used both. All right, I'm just going to let it go with a light snowfall. I'm not going to go with a heavy snowfall. Boy, I feel like the kindergarten kid tonight. I've played in snow techs and I've played in the paint. I've just had a grand old time. Okay, I'm going to add more snow techs, but before I'll finish out with that. But before I do, I want to do a little bit of outlining just so some things are highlighted and you can see what it's gonna look like once it starts getting to the finished stage. I've got some of my snow text that's coming off. May have been some of the older that I had. So I'm just going to trace around some things so that way you can see them outlined and highlighted, and you get an idea of what it's going to look like once it is completely finished. This will also help the stained glass windows stand out even more. Now that's slinging paint. You're so funny. Yep, I was doing some paint slinging there. I realized there was not a doorknob on that door, so I added a doorknob. So again, it won't all be finished tonight on the live because I need to let the snow text dry a little bit, and then I'll do some outlining around some of the snow text. But some of it I won't completely outline because I feel like the snow text is, the snow is covering it. So I don't want to outline it. I want it to look like the snow has it covered up. So like there, I'll only put half of what the roof is showing because I want it to look like the snow has covered part of the roof. Same here. I want you to see that there, you know, is a roof as far as the outline and the detail go, but I also want you to see that the roof is covered in snow, and so part of the detail is hidden. All right, so that's what I'm talking about when I say broken outlines or broken details, like it's been covered up. All right, let's see. What else can we? Oh, steps. Need to outline my steps so that way you can see what's going on here. I'm going to wait on the trees because I want to get the rest of the snow added in. But I do want to do our break between the ground and the sky so that way you can see the separation there. And then the letters themselves, I'll go around them, but again, I'll end up stopping wherever I finish out putting snow text because I want to add some more snow text. Yes, the black, I I don't always outline everything like fully because it sometimes to me it takes away from what you're doing, but I've discovered that sometimes if you just do like portions, that it still has that pop to it, but it doesn't look like it's been traced, like it's a coloring book type situation. So sometimes you have to kind of find that balance in between in between everything. My Snowtex lid is not wanting to go on. Not sure what's going on there. Anyway, it's a new bottle. I probably broke it when I opened it or something. Who knows? Who knows? All right, well, I'm gonna play with a little more Snowtex for a few more minutes, and then we'll wrap it up for the night. Like I said, I'll sit here for a while and play with the Snowtex, but um, I'll let y'all watch me play with it a little more, just as I just kind of get it to where it's sitting on top of letters and sitting in the tree. Like I said, sometimes I like to have it piled up, and then sometimes I just like for it to look like, you know, kind of like I did with the toothbrush. It just kind of got speckled a little bit. I don't want it to all look the same because I mean, snow's not going to look the same on everything it lands on. Sometimes it'll pile up on one thing and it may not pile up on the object right next to it. Just depends on the object and which way the wind blows. And so I'm kind of sharing a little bit of this snow between these two letters because it's like, well, they're close enough together that it could have fallen off of one letter and landed on the other. And then of course I have moments where my okay, you how come you're not doing exactly what I want you to do kicks in and I keep fiddling with it. And then I tell myself, look, if you don't quit picking at it, it will never get to the point you want it to be at. All right, so my steps don't have any snow, and that's probably because they salted them and took care of the snow, but I'm gonna add a little snow, just right here at the edge. With snow techs, make sure you've got a good pack of baby wipes because you will go through, especially if you use your fingers. Now, if you use a popsicle stick, not so much, but if you use your fingers, you will find that you will be getting baby wipes very often. Don't forget about the announcement of the new, oh, yes, indeedy. Yes, I won't leave without showing. Okay, so a little snow on the steps, and I enjoy hanging out with you. All right, so all this is getting pretty dry on my fingers, so we're gonna clean everything off again. And I always feel like I don't want to wipe off the snow if it's going to stick, but if you can kind of pat it and it comes up on your finger, then you kind of know as soon as you pick it up, it's going to fall off. So I try to check things and just make sure that if it's going to fall off, I just go ahead and get it off anyway. All right, new stuff I've been working on. Well, tonight, actually this afternoon, I've been working on some new things. I was working on a new method to do mugs, and so Terry, I actually did yours by the new method, and to me, I think it turned out the colors are bolder with this method, so I'm probably going to stick to using it in the future. And something else that I worked on and played with, and what did I do with my? Oh, there it is. It's like, what happened to my mouse? I had to move it because of the water. I remember now. Something else I've been playing with. Come on, change screens. There we go. I have been playing with cases. Now, you may be thinking, what? Cases? These are like you can use them for coin purses. Okay. So if that's your thing. But the kids nowadays, and I have a teenage daughter, so of course her first thing was, "Oh, make me one." So they are the perfect size for putting AirPods, AirBuds, earbuds, and even your cord will fit in it, she was telling me. So here's a few of them I have worked on today or this afternoon. Working on some stocking stuffers. So I have those. that I have discovered. So, one more thing to add to the Christmas option list. We have tumblers, we have mugs, ornaments if you do ornament swaps, and then, you know, of course, door hangers. And now we have the AirPod cases or the little carrying cases or change purses. So, yes, the little I know I've got people that have gotten tumblers for Christmas gifts, and I've had some people say they're going to get Chris or mugs for Christmas gifts, and so all these different things. The price range for the mugs and the tumblers work really well for all the little Christmas parties coming up. You need the gift exchange thing, and so I try to keep tumblers and mugs priced so that they fit in those price ranges, so that way when Christmas rolls around, then you're like, "Oh, yeah." So, try to keep all that sorta placed in that area. Alright, let's see, what else do I wanna do? I'll keep playing with snow text, like I said, well after I'm gone off the live, but, let me find you know what? I don't wanna do the skinny one. I was like, "Maybe I'll do this with the skinny one," but no. I'm just going to go around some of the letters, and then that way you can see how they'll get added into this mix as well. I didn't think about it. I actually have a green paint pen that I could have gone around the letters in green. I did not think about that. Or gold. Oh, that would have been pretty. That would have been really pretty to go around them in gold. I did not even think that through. Ah, I did one of the Christmas snack cake door hangers, and I traced the letters out in green rather than in black, and I loved the way they turned out. And so I've been trying to use some of the colored um, paint pens over just the usual black and white that I usually do, and give a little variety. So now you can see where we've added a little outlining to Mary, and then we'll do the same for Christmas. So this go around a little different part two, because I mean I started part one where I did all the painting part, and then part two I'm just kind of showing you some of the different techniques, like the snow text, and then the splatter, and then of course the watercolor technique, which is very different. And if you're a person who likes everything to be portioned correctly, that will actually drive you insane. I kind of like the way each window turned out different, and so I kind of like that. If you look at each window, even the pressing with the paper towel did not come out the same on all three, and so that looks pretty cool to me. I do still have to come up with something for the windows up here. I um I don't know. I don't like them white. I don't know what to do with them, but I don't like them white. So I don't know. I thought about yellow, like maybe there was a light in the tower. But then I also thought about maybe a darker gray as if it's in the shadows. So I'll probably go with one of the two. Just not real sure right at the moment which one that'll be, but probably one of the two. And I might come back with just a little bit of a light green on some of these branches and also in some of the bushes, just to give a little variation to the color. The trees, I'm not going to do anything else to except add some snow text to this tree and maybe a few more branches in this tree. I don't want the snow text on every branch, but I do want it to kind of cluster in a few places. Just like kind of on the roof, it's just kind of clustered in a few. And that is starting to harden up very nicely, but I still like to leave it for about 24 to 48 hours. And then that way I know it's good and dry before I put any seal coat on it. So, well, I thought this was pretty fun. I hope you enjoyed watching and checking out the two parts and the different techniques, some of the techniques that get used in various applications and pieces in the painting world, whether it's painting door hangers or even painting canvases. You can use a lot of the same styles and same techniques. I know a lot of canvas artists use oil paints instead of acrylics, but they still use some of the piling technique, like what I'm doing with the snow techs, and they may water things down or splatter, uh, or they pile it up, one of the three. So even though you may find artists that use different paints or different objects, pieces that they work with, sometimes we still all have kind of the same basis for what we're doing. Well, I hope y'all have a great week. Again, I don't know, the time change. I know they say the days get shorter when you fall back, but for some reason today has just seemed like it has just been like 3 days in one. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just because 'cause I've been doing so many different things this afternoon. I did some, Christmas mugs. Oh, 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 hand me that one and the one with the, Christmas trees. Yeah. I gotta show y'all some of my new mugs. I like this one. It says, "Fueled by coffee and Christmas music." I like that one. And then this one I thought was super pretty. I like this one. And the new technique that or the new way that I am pressing them, pressing the designs, I like the way the colors are a little bolder now. So I like that. So that is pretty cool. Oh, I still have some residue left on that one. Okay. Some tape. Ah, got that off. Good deal. All right. Well, I hope y'all have a great week, and I'm going to be, adding these in this week and putting in videos, so you'll get to see the new designs I was playing with this afternoon. This is just a couple of them, and then also the little cases for phone accessories. All of that will be getting added in over the next week, and I hope. Let's see. I was trying to think of what I was gonna do next week. It'll probably be another Christmas one. I don't know what I did with the screen. It did something weird, so I'm back to normal now. I can see everybody, so that's a good thing. But I hope y'all have a great week. Have a wonderful night. Get a good night's sleep. I actually enjoyed my extra hour last night, so I hope you did too. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.